Hello, and welcome to the Joy of Cooking podcast. Each week, we set the table for a discussion about recipes and stories from the authors of The Joy of Cooking, kitchen victories and misadventures, and most importantly, what we are cooking and eating right now. We're glad you've joined us at the table today. I'm Shannon Larson, home cook, ardent Joy of Cooking user and fan, and secretly eating shredded cheese straight out of the bag enthusiast.
I'm Megan Scott, co-author of the 2019 edition of The Joy of Cooking. I'm a food editor by day and avoider of dish duty by night, and I cleaned my emotional support water bottle this week, so I'd like a round of applause.
Yay! Congratulations.
I'm John Becker, fourth generation co-author and steward of The Joy of Cooking, America's oldest family-run cookbook. And I'm pretty sure that fried potato snacks belong in more of our sandwiches.
Good note.
Go on.
Oh,
Explain.
I have to go on?
Yes.
I feel it's pretty much self-explanatory. I made some breakfast burritos this morning for us before we got here and had those like slab hash brown, I don't know what to call them.
It's like a puck.
A puck, yeah. You know, just like chop that up a little bit, throw it in there. But then it got me thinking about like one of our favorite Lebanese restaurants. Thankfully, they survived the pandemic just fine. They had to move to counter service, and there were a few other changes they made to their menu, including the shawarma sandwich that they offer. They no longer pile it high with French fries and tuna in the center. Which
Yeah, that's sad. That's a little sad.
It is a little sad.
I'm glad they made it, though.
Yeah, no.
But then, yeah, we were also thinking about potato chips on a sandwich.
Oh, yeah.
And that there's like an entire, in the UK, there is just a sandwich that is bread, maybe butter, and potato chips
Really?
in the middle.
French fries? I thought.
Or French fries?
I think-
Yeah,
like
you're right.
British chips.
I think British chips. Yeah. Sorry, I got confused. But yes.
They do that. not crisps.
Yeah, not crisps. Right.
That's right.
What have you been up to this week, Shannon? What are you cooking?
I just wanted to do a shout out to you because you've inspired me.
Thanks.
I finally got a freaking whiteboard for my refrigerator.
Oh, heck
and I don't
yes.
know why it took me so long to do that. But then what we are doing is writing down the things in our fridge or freezer that we want to or need to use that week and like crossing it off when we figure out a way to incorporate it into our lunch or into our leftover dinner, whatever it is. And it really was nice. So last Sunday we spent hours making Marcella Hazan's bolognese because it's just so good.
Lovely.
And then we had leftover, of course, because it's just me and my husband. And then we made like faux sloppy Joe one day for lunch, which was so
That sounds amazing.
so good. But it's been really nice to like use things up and cross it off of the list as we go down the list. And then I'm going to, erase it this, today and start over fresh. But
Yeah.
that's been great. And then we also made like a homemade Hawaiian meal using that Bakken's, the Japanese barbecue sauce.
Oh, I don't know actually how
I
to
don't know
pronounce
how to
it.
Bachans.
Bachans. But we had that sweet pineapple one that we got from them directly and made like chicken thighs with that and macaroni salad and white rice. And it was
Yum.
really fun. And yeah, not great for me, but it was so fun to eat and so fun to make.
Delicious.
Yeah.
Love a plate lunch.
It was so good.
Yeah.
What about you two?
Well, I didn't really have, we made a couple things this week, but John's dad has been in town, so
Oh,
we've
yeah.
been eating out more than normal. But I kind of wanted to just talk about this video I saw this week. It was from an episode of one of Julia Child's shows. I can't remember what the show was. Maybe it was Baking with Julia. She has Nancy Silverton on, famous pastry chef, especially like in the 90s. And Nancy Silverton makes this beautiful dessert. I think it's like some kind of a brioche tart. It just looks gorgeous. But Julia Child takes a bite and she doesn't say anything, but then she's like starts to cry.
No.
And she just says, it's a dessert to cry over. And she's just crying, eating this dessert. And it's the most pure and beautiful thing I've seen in a long time. It kind of made me want to cry.
Aw.
But yeah, I just love, that made me so happy to see that. And
I love
Julia was such a treasure.
So cute.
What about you, John?
What did I do?
Yeah, what did you?
I think I fed you some like chicken tinga tostadas.
You did?
With lots of shortcuts. I feel, we usually call for like broiling some Roma tomatoes and starting with some like dried chipotles. And I totally took some shortcuts on that with some canned, the canned fire roasted, quote unquote. I'd like to see the fire and the roasting process. And chipotles in adobo. And
It was great.
Yeah.
I love tostadas so much. Now I've just started putting stuff on tostadas, like whatever I have. Yesterday I put tuna salad on it and it was great. I have no regrets.
yeah, tostadas, I feel like that's a recent love affair. Yeah.
I love that you can just buy big bags of them.
I've never done that, and I don't
Yeah.
know why.
And so many things are good on that. I don't know. Now it's just a pantry staple.
Right.
We can
Especially for,
always
like,
make a tostada.
Quick lunch
Yeah.
idea, like whatever is left over in your fridge, throw it on
Absolutely.
tostada.
Like a giant nacho.
Yeah, I feel like the shrimp agua chile might have been like the gateway tostada topping last summer.
Yeah, we did a lot of those. This week, we'd like to welcome our guest, Margaret Eby, to the table. Margaret is a journalist and critic who writes about books, movies, music, television, and cultural ephemera. She is currently deputy food editor at the Philadelphia Inquirer. Previously, she was editorial lead at Food 52 and senior editor at Food and Wine. Margaret's latest book is You Gotta Eat: Real-Life Strategies for Feeding Yourself When Cooking Feels Impossible. Margaret, welcome to the table.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. And thank you for bringing me on a day when they were talking about chips and sandwiches, which is a strong interest of mine, I would say.
Well, yeah, you have a whole ode in your book to putting chips on sandwiches, right?
I mean, yes, I find one delicious, right? No one can deny. Like the first time that you saw, for me, I remember it so vividly. There was like a kid in my lunchroom who just like opened his sandwich and dumped Doritos on it and smashed it. And I was like, you can do that? And my life was never the same. Because like flavor component, texture component, and also like structurally, it helps the sandwich go together. It's funny you were talking about that sandwich that's only butter and chips, because my family is Irish. My mom is from Ireland. And in Ireland, whenever I visit, there's like a desperation sandwich, which they make with cheese and onion crisps, which are like an elite flavor. Why do we not have it in the States? I know why. But like, it's just bread, butter, chips, smashed. Ugh, beautiful.
That sounds delightful. They do have really good chip flavors in other parts of the world. Like, why can't we have those here?
I'm saying it's terrible. Some of my friends have like an annual made up holiday called Christmas, in which we just have
It's
to bring,
amazing.
yeah, we just bring crisps from all different set. Like I brought some from Thailand one time, like wherever you've been, whatever market you've been, if you find something that looks interesting, we all just bring a big thing of crisps. Because I agree, we have been barred from the excellent chip flavors, you know? It's not fair.
Even ketchup chips, like it's right there. Canada is right.
Right? Come on. Or all dressed. They're so good.
So I wanted to say, like, all dress is actually, I think they're making inroads into the U.S. market because Tim's Cascade, our Pacific Northwest chip manufacturer of note, yeah, they have all dress now. It was very exciting.
That's beautiful to me. They have not made it over to Philadelphia, but I'm going to be on the hunt. Like, it's going to be beautiful for me.
Sometimes they do special edition flavors that don't hang around for very long. Hopefully this is not one of those.
Yeah.
Right.
Margaret, what have you been cooking and eating this week that you've really loved?
Okay. I have recently become obsessed with frozen waffles. I had a baby 2 months ago.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. I am, first of all, absolutely ravenous all the time, because it turns out when you're nursing, like I have the metabolism right now of a teenage boy. Like I cannot eat enough. I have to do things that I like just toast and are easy. And I just love frozen waffles so much. You crisp them up, you like, you know, classic with maple syrup as like basically an excuse to eat so much maple syrup. Can't argue. Smash an avocado on it, do some like chili crisp, obsessed with it. I did like sort of like dirtbag waffle nachos the other night where I was like waffle, cheese, sour cream, salsa, let's go. That has been like a big obsession of mine. And also my friend Rebecca Ferkser, who has a book coming out, I think this summer, on galettes, had a recipe for chickpea piccata on her newsletter.
Ooh.
And I was like, oh, this is so smart. My husband's a vegetarian, so we mostly eat vegetarian in my house. And I just like can't stop making chickpea piccata. It's just like it's such a good idea. I don't know why.
That is a
I
really
hadn't
good
thought
idea.
of it. So those are like heavy rotation, frozen waffles and fried chickpeas. That's the level over here.
Yeah, I was kind of curious how being a new parent has affected like how your experience of food, but also like what you're eating, because I imagine you don't have a lot of time, or maybe less time than you used to, or maybe you're just tired. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I'm living, I literally, the amount of sleep I'm living on, like a heretofore, did not think was possible. I'm like a submarine captain or something. I'm just like, no worries, I don't need it. It's interesting because we did a huge stockpile of frozen stuff before I became a parent. I not even joking, made 11 lasagnas.
Amazing.
Like, yeah, so many lasagnas. We love lasagna in my household, but even that, I was like, maybe we should eat more than noodles. I don't know. Um, like vat of lentil soup, all this stuff. And we've been eating through that, and that's been hugely helpful. But I've also found like in this period, I really love cooking. Like when I get the chance to like make something, it just feels so good and such a like creative outlet for me right now when I can like, fend off half an hour to make something, which I wasn't expecting. I was like, I assume I'll be living on microwave burritos. Like shout out to microwave burritos like forever. I love a microwave burrito. But I have been making a lot of like no knead bread.
Mhm.
Because also I have so much like weird time at weird hours. I'm like, yeah, I can throw some flour together and like I'll definitely be awake in like 4 to 12 hours, who can say? But it is like everyone says, like you need to have a lot of one-handed things. But I've been like very happy and excited about how much it's like been accessing the part of me that really loves cooking when I get a chance, because it just feels like, I'm caring for me and my little family. And it's nice.
Yeah, that's so nice. Did you have any fun or weird cravings when you were pregnant?
You know what? Okay, I have found this impossible to answer because I always have fun, weird cravings. Like that's not new for
Yeah.
pregnancy. Like sometimes I'm just like, do you know key lime pie? And everyone's like, calm down. I'm like, I'm not gonna calm down about key lime pie. We're gonna eat key lime pie. This is key lime pie month. And I'll just like keep making it. And then everyone's like, okay. There was like a month where I was like, I did an interview for Bon Appetit about this website called appleratings.com.
I know and love appleratings.com.
What is appleratings.com?
My God, they're about to enter a dream world of magic. It is like a comedian who like very seriously ranks every kind of apple. And it's like, it's one of these things where it obviously started as a joke, but he is so invested in it that when I talk to him, I'm like, oh no, you know so much about growing apples and like various flavor components, like mustaches. Like you can't actually have a joke mustache. It just is a mustache at a certain point. And I think you can't have joke apple ratings. Like he's just like, I have studied the blade and I care so much about apples. But when I did that interview with him, I suddenly was like, do you know what is the most perfect food on earth? Honey crisp apples. I love them so much. It was like right around that time of year where they're like out in their peak and they're beautiful. And so I had one, I think, every day for at least 2 months. But yeah, it's very hard for me to tell whether that's a pregnancy craving or that's just quote unquote my personality,
Yeah,
I
Sure. I feel like he had some really harsh words for a cosmic crisp.
He did.
Yeah.
It is a mid apple. Like,
Well,
let's be real.
Yeah, I guess that's what you get for trying to make it more commercially viable.
I mean, but also sometimes like those, the circumstances in which you encounter an apple are so crucial, right? Like even the most mid-tier kind of apple can really hit depending on like the situation. And you're like, ooh, it's a fall day. I'm at like a beautiful farmer's market. I get a cosmic crisp. Like I defy you to say that's a mid-apple in those circumstances. Whereas like you're at the YMCA and you grab a Red Delicious, that's like that's a catastrophe. You're having a bad day no matter what. Like you're just like, this is the mealiest piece of fruit I've ever put in my mouth. Terrible.
I feel like the Red Delicious, obviously not the best apple. Taste is subjective, etc. But I feel most people can probably agree that it's not the best, and yet it's really is kind of tied up with sack lunches at school, and just having no choices available at all. It's just like you eat what's in front of you and take your marching orders.
Yeah, no.
That's really real. One of the things I feel like I love to know what we're in the golden era of, you know what I mean? And I do think we are in a golden era of apples. Like Apple access right now, it's so much like when I was a kid, right? You had your options were like the stoplight, you could have red, yellow, green apple. It was like some sort of Red Delicious. It was some sort of like usually Granny Smith and some in between. And like none of them is quite correct. Too sour, too mealy, too like weird. And now it's just like, wow, we can have any kind of apple anytime we want. This is like a beautiful time to be
It
alive,
is
apple
beautiful.
wise.
I hated apples growing up for that reason. Like, I did
I
not
know.
like them at all. And then I moved to the Pacific Northwest and realized there aren't just Golden Delicious, Red Delicious, and Granny Smith. And I was like, oh, they are good. It's like the
Yeah.
first time I had fresh carrots. I was like, oh, carrots actually have flavor. Oh, they're delicious.
Yeah, it's wild. It's wild. The context and also just having better choices.
Yeah.
It's nice.
It is nice.
I'm in favor. I'm for it. Okay, so before we move on to that wasn't the interview part of the show, Margaret. That was just, we were just getting warmed up.
Okay.
So every week we have a recipe that we ask listeners to make based on kind of the theme of the show. And so last week's recipe was chermoula. John, since you made the chermoula, do you mind talking through just roughly the ingredients?
Yeah, cilantro, parsley, ground cumin,
I think our recipe has coriander as well.
coriander, peppercorns, and red chili flakes that all get ground together. Oh, and saffron.
Oh yeah, a little bit of saffron.
Yeah, a little bit of saffron. So it ends up being a green sauce that has like a lot of really nice, more complex spice profile or whatever.
And you
I said
can
profile, so it must,
that's official.
That's a sophisticated analysis right there.
It's a thicker paste. Like you can use it
Right.
as a kind of a marinade, like a paste on meat or vegetables, or as a kind of condiment sauce after you've cooked something.
Yeah, some recipes, including the one that we included in Joy in like 1997, that's when it first appeared, calls for a ton of minced raw onion, which is not an option for us because you are
can't.
deathly afraid of like the merest crunch
Yeah, I don't-
of raw onion.
Can't do it.
So yeah, we kind of did more of a salsa verde thing with it. I think I ended up adding some chives and some green onions to it, and yeah, just used it as a condiment for a variety of things, including some pan roasted chicken. But yeah, typically it's used for fish, both as a marinade, seasoning for like baking, and then also as a condiment.
And I think it's an important part of the green sauce canon, which becomes more important as we get into the summer months, because I feel like we always have a green sauce of some kind on hand, especially with grilled things. So like salsa verde or zug or pesto or gremolata, like one of those green sauces is really important for anything grilled, but they're just so fresh and nice and lovely.
Oh, and forgot to mention that the whole reason why we asked people to make chermoula along with us was because we were talking about preserved lemon. So we did have a little bit of a substitution going on where instead of lemon juice, you add like maybe a third as much of minced up preserved lemon peel.
And that was really delicious. It gave it, you kind of have to watch the extra salt that you add because the preserved lemon is so salty, but I thought it was a really nice addition. And then this week's recipe, since we're talking about duck eggs today, we're giving everyone the homework of making salted egg yolks, which is on page 935. They're really fun to make. It's kind of like a science experiment, but you just take egg yolks and kind of put them in a bed of kosher salt and then completely cover them with more salt and refrigerate them for about a week. And then after that, you brush off the salt and dry them on a rack in your oven at 200 degrees, or you could probably use a dehydrator if you wanted, I would think.
Oh, yeah.
I think.
Sure.
Yeah. For like 30, 45 minutes. And then you can grate them over things like pasta dishes, risotto, pizza, salad,
French fries.
Yeah. I feel like anything fried that would be really good on, like onion rings. I don't know why onion rings come to mind.
Yeah. Calamari. Why not?
Calamari, yeah, totally. So yeah, please cook along with us and make Joy's salted egg yolks. That is on page 935.
Cooking with matcha? It all starts with the right tea. And that's where you need to pick Mizuba Tea Co., sourced directly from heritage tea farms in Japan. Mizuba's matcha is crafted by award-winning farms in Yuji, Japan. Vibrant, umami-rich, and stone-milled per traditional methods. It's the top quality ingredient for lattes, desserts, and even savory dishes. Not to mention whisking on its own as a ceremonial style matcha. Whether you're making a matcha cheesecake or dreaming of a spring matcha tiramisu, start with the best. Taste the tradition. Shop at mizubatea.com. That's mizubatea.com. And use the code JOYOFMATCHA. That's JOYOFMATCHA for 15% off your first order.
Margaret, I really am excited to talk about your book, You Gotta Eat. I love it so much. The first time I laid eyes on it, I knew I was going to love it. And then I read basically the whole thing, and it's delightful. It's so well written. It's really human. Can you just tell listeners what the book is about for folks who haven't heard of it?
Sure. The elevator pitch is it's like how to cook things when you have no energy to cook things. Actually, I think my original pitch was what if a cookbook for depressed people? Which is honestly where it came from. I'm a person who has depression and anxiety, and I think like a lot of people during the pandemic, I was like, I'm a food person and I love food and I hate this. I can't believe I have to make lunch again. And I seriously, at some point, I think I got an economy thing of bagel bites, and I was like, it's time for bagel bites. What am I gonna do? And so the idea is basically really low lift ways to feed yourself when you don't have anything left in the tank. And it's easy recipes, but also easier than easy recipes, because I think one of the things that recipes often don't take into account is the energy of how many bowls you're going to use, the energy of how much time it's going to take, the energy, what is your level and capacity for coping with life, not just what ingredients you have and what directions are. And so I wanted to be all right, when we say easy recipes, as recipe people, easy for who? Let's take 3 steps back. This book is organized by energy level. So it's just do you have the energy to open a bag or a can? Great. This chapter is for you. Do you feel like you can use a microwave? This chapter is for you. And the last one is okay, do you feel like you can use a stove today? If so, here we go. And if not, that's fine. Back up. You can make soup in a blender. No worries. You get dinner. That's an accomplishment and a victory. And that's all we need.
Yeah, I think that what I love so much about the book is that even easy recipes seem hard when nothing sounds good, and you just can't, you don't even know where to start or what you want, and you're struggling with that. And I love that in this book you have these pages that are roll your own recipe, so you can just use a die and that will decide what ingredients you put in your bean salad, which is so helpful when you just really cannot even think of what you want to eat, but you're hungry.
I think there's the casserole part, and it just lists, hey, here are options for the protein. Here are options for the cheese you're using. I suffer from the same thing where I just get I cannot even think about what I want to have. Nothing sounds good. And I'm always I would love just a pill that would fill me up and give me my vitamins and minerals and not even think about it. But even there, you're breaking it down and telling me what options I have makes it even easier. And I'm what do I have available? I'm just going to put some dumplings in a pan and some broccoli. Cool. That's great.
Totally. Yeah. I think so much of this is also what I'm trying to do is bring galaxy brain recipe perspective to people, because I think that's one of the beauty of, if you study the blade of recipes, you're okay, this is just an acid, right? You don't have lemons, that's fine. You got vinegar, we're good. It functioned the same way. And I think it's hard to see a recipe like that if you haven't had a lot of practice. So an example, a bean salad or a casserole, it does not matter if you do not have the quote unquote correct bean for a bean salad, right? What?
Yeah, they're all correct.
Exactly. There's no way that you can really mess it up. And I think, one of the things that I ran into a lot when I was talking to people about this is people feeling intimidated by recipes because they didn't have the equipment, didn't know what they were doing. And I just wanted to be actually, first of all, you know how to do this because you can just dump a bean in a bowl. It's not that serious. And second, what happens if you quote mess this up is that you have lunch. There's no way to mess it up. You know what I mean? Even if it doesn't sound like the exact thing I'm describing and you eat it and you're well, that provided nutrition so that my body and soul are entwined,
Yeah.
I will not exit this plane. That's it. That's all.
It's really lowering the stakes. I love the organization too. I feel like we will talk, at least amongst ourselves, about trying to meet people where they're at with joy, and that this is literally a much better way of doing it.
Yeah, it really does that so well. I wanted to read just a couple sentences from the introduction of the book that really hit me. It says, For me, being in the kitchen can be a source of joy and experimentation and meditation. It can also be a Groundhog Day level nightmare to realize, oh God, I have to make dinner again. Both things are true. Cooking is wonderful. Cooking is a pain. It's a spectrum. Because it's not about like, do I like cooking? Do I not like cooking? It's more about sometimes you just really need to feed yourself. Like you need energy, you need food, and it will make things worse if you don't eat something. So the priority is like fed is best. Fed is best.
Yes, yeah. The mantra in our household, as you might guess, having a baby is like, just eat. Whatever it is you eat, it doesn't matter. But I think that's true. It's like fed is best for everyone. And I think, it's so easy to get caught up on like, there's like a mantra that I really hate where it's like, why would you waste a meal? And you're like, no, dude, it's not like that. Sometimes peanut butter is a meal. Like we cannot be focused so much on like the maximization of our meals every time, because sometimes it's like, yeah, I want to make a beautiful dinner. And sometimes I'm like, I need to eat before I go to sleep or I will wake up very hungry.
Yeah.
Like that's kind of it. Part of the mission of this book is communicating that's true even if you're very invested in food. That's not just true because like you don't have some special skill set. Like I think particularly for food people, when I start like talking about unhinged foods that I love to make, everyone's like, oh, hell yeah, like, let's go. Like I do peanut butter with Cheetos on it. You know what I mean? And it's like this, if you have like enthusiasm about food, you also like understand very well these shortcuts and understand very well that like not everything is a gorgeous 6-course dinner. Some things are chip sandwiches, and that's equally as valid in the moment and also often very, very tasty.
I think that's the thing. Like sometimes I love to cook. I love to cook, elaborate meals. It's great. But then we have what we call school lunch dinner. And those are my favorite meals. And it's boxed macaroni and cheese, peas, and usually frozen IKEA chicken meatballs that I always get a bag whenever I'm at IKEA. And John and I look forward to that meal whenever we're like, do you want to do school lunch dinner? And it's so exciting. And I just like cover everything in sriracha and I'm so happy like rewatching a show or something. It's also fun and it feels like being a kid again sometimes doing that kind of a meal. And that just makes it exciting.
100%. I feel like we do this in my household. We have several occasions. One we call anytime we dip for dinner the Super Bowl. So we have the Super Bowl like multiple times. We're just like, is it time for the Super Bowl? And it's like, yeah. But part of it too is just like realizing that you can make up your own weird food holidays. Like it just because someone says it's sandwich day today, first of all, I don't believe them. I celebrate sandwiches every day.
Every day.
Second, like exactly that. You're like, oh, is it kid dinner day? Or like, is it, personally macaroni and cheese plus peas, hive, rise up. I love that stuff. That was also like a phase I went through in pregnancy. I'm like, that's all I can eat. That's all I want to eat. But I also think that there's some element of like, especially when you're like in a phase where things are grueling and things are a grind and it's just like, oh God, I have to make dinner again and again, doing exactly that framing, like, which I think is so smart, and just being like, actually, this is fun. We're adults, which means we make up the rules and I say nachos for dinner night. Like, then rather it being like, oh God, it's a compromise. You're like, no, this is a fun festive occasion.
Yeah. There's intent. There's like an intent behind it and it makes it more, it frames it in a different way.
Totally. And like also so many of the time, like when you're at a party, the food you eat for dinner is like tiny little hot dogs and grapes and cheese. And somehow like, like if people are like, oh, I made a plate of these and now I'm defeated. I'm like, you're having a party.
Yeah, it's a charcuterie board. What are you talking about?
Like, what's wrong with that? It's just a little party.
You mentioned sandwiches, and I did want to talk about sandwiches because you have a whole section in your book about sandwiches, and I love what you said. Anything can be a sandwich if you're not a coward. I
believe that strongly. I believe it just takes bravery and bread to make a sandwich.
But there is a sandwich that you talk about in the book, the pineapple mayo sandwich. And that really caught my eye because I grew up, my mom used to make, I'm assuming she still makes them, but she used to make banana mayo sandwiches. I grew up in the South, so I feel like I associate that as that's like a Southern thing. And I did not know about the pineapple version of that sandwich. So I was very intrigued. I've never actually tried that.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I've heard of the banana mayo one. I like the pineapple mayo one because it replicates a lot of the things that you love about a classic tomato sandwich. which is you have the fat from the mayo, you have the acid and the sweetness from the pineapple, and then usually it's like, little salt and pepper, and it's all encased in the white bread that sort of traps the juices in. And like ideally you eat it over a sink because it's like a very sloppy sandwich. I love talking about a pineapple mayonnaise sandwich because it's so upsetting to people. like my my editor was like, this is the most upsetting recipe in your entire book. And I was like, what? Sorry. Sorry. I also really like it because I think, there's some part of me that's just trolling people because like, they're like, oh, I love Southern food. And I'm like, oh, yeah. Let's talk about the hot mayonnaise section of Southern food. You don't think of that, do you? Yeah, like just getting people to Google like pear salad. When I wrote about that sandwich for Bon Appetit, the comments on it made me laugh so hard. My husband had to come and get me because he thought something was wrong. Many of them were like, this is a recession indicator.
Yeah.
Some of them were like, First Amendment has gone too far. Unbelievable. So good. Like, people hate the idea of this sandwich. So I implore you to try it because it is actually an incredibly delicious, very budget sandwich. But it's like the kind of thing that is exactly like similar to Hawaiian pizza, which works for similar flavor reasons. People are just like, hard no, you are terrorizing me.
Yeah, what is that revulsion? What is that about? There are so many foods that are, I don't know, that we don't have that reaction to, but why the pineapple mayo sandwich? Because you're right, it does make a certain sense if you think about the flavors, and even more sense than a banana mayo sandwich because the banana doesn't have the acidity. So it's just kind of mush.
I would definitely eat a pineapple mayo sandwich over a banana mayo sandwich, like for the texture-wise.
Texture. Yeah, same. I like a banana, but the mayo, it's all mush, but like I respect it. I respect
right.
that.
Yeah, I totally respect it.
I actually think the thing that's upsetting people is a mayonnaise. Because people get very upset about mayonnaise. One of those condiments that's weirdly polarizing. I think this also happens if you have ever Googled pear salad, which is a Southern specialty that is mostly mayonnaise, or like there was a recipe, I think it was when I was at my recipes of mayonnaise ice cream, and people absolutely freaked out about it. They were like, hard no, get away from us. Like the traffic did bananas because everyone hated it so much. And I think part of it is like mayonnaise is this like mysterious and threatening substance. There's a lot of, like from your childhood days, there's like overuse of it. It can certainly go bad. It can be used in like really horrible ways.
Or like a tuna or chicken salad that just has way, way too much of the mayo to kind of like stretch the cafeteria budget or whatever.
Yeah, I think cafeteria trauma probably has a lot to do with it. But like,
that's fair.
It's interesting to me because mayonnaise is such a useful ingredient because all it is like eggs and oil, right? And like you can swap that in. It's great for cakes. It's great for all these situations. But like it's very hard for people to get past the mayonnaise barrier, I'm saying.
Yes. It's like ectoplasm. It kind of like jiggles when you put a dollop on something. It like, has that. Yeah, our producer is like shivering. He doesn't like.
So sorry.
He doesn't like mayonnaise. No, I love that so much. My grandmother actually uses mayonnaise in her cornbread. So instead of using eggs and oil, she just does a big spoonful of mayonnaise, which makes so much sense because it's like that's what's in it. It's just eggs and oil. And her cornbread is delightful. It's very crunchy. Has a nice golden exterior. So I think it's very versatile.
That sounds good. I definitely want to try that because I use mayonnaise when I'm making like Caesar dressing because I'm like, I don't want to mess around with an egg yolk right now. It's like hard, but mayonnaise is available and right there. So
yeah, definitely confession time. I feel like maybe for 3 years now, we've just been doing like mayo-based Caesars.
Yeah.
I mean,
we just started doing the same thing based on that Parmesan crusted salmon recipe. And I was like, this is delicious. Like,
yeah, it's so easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a case of where like our experience of Caesar, like just at restaurants and whatnot, kind of matches up more with like the mayo-based version than with the starting from scratch version.
Yeah. moving away from mayonnaise a little bit.
Our producer's like shaking his head. Yes.
I did want to talk about, so I made one of the recipes from your book yesterday, the 2-ingredient mug cake, because it's just melted ice cream and self-rising flour, which is just kind of blew my mind, but it's so simple. And I did have pistachio ice cream and I just let that melt and then cooked it up with some flour. And then I did add I had some frozen raspberries that I threw in there. It was so good. It was delightful. And it took 2 minutes to make. It's just like emergency cake. It's perfect.
Exactly what it is. It's like break glass in case of emergency cake. Thank you. That was a recipe that I was so proud of myself for figuring out, because I was like, ugh, like if you require me to get out like flour and egg and whatever, why am I not just making normal cake?
Yeah.
And then I was like, it's similar to the mayonnaise thing. I'm like, do you know what already has dairy and eggs and sugar in it? Ice cream.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's perfect.
Yeah. It's beautiful. It's perfect. Sometimes you just really, and I know like people are like, well, you already had ice cream. I'm like, but sometimes you need cake.
Yes.
I personally am a person who just needs cake, you know, like ice cream will not do when you need cake.
And then you can put a little ice cream on the cake. Then you can have both. It's even better. Margaret, where can listeners follow you?
I am horrifically online, I would say. I'm on Instagram at Margaret Eby. I'm also on Blue Sky at Margaret Eby. I'm on Twitter, but I don't use Twitter all that much, or X, you know, whatever. And also I do publish occasionally at my newspaper home, the Philadelphia Inquirer.
Awesome. And do check out Margaret's book, You Gotta Eat. It's like $20. It's going to be the best $20 you spend all year probably, because it's full of really awesome ideas for feeding yourself when you don't want to cook.
Also a really good present idea. I have like a list of people I want to buy a copy for.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so now we're going to get into our caller question from last week, which is about duck eggs. Dirk, can you read the question?
I recently got 3 dozen duck eggs from my brother-in-law. He's given me some in the past, and I don't really like to eat them as scrambled, fried, or really by themselves. Are they better for baking, or as like a quiche? Do you have any good recipes that use a lot of eggs?
This is a really silly question to get at this point.
Well, I mean, I'm just kind of like, just brag about it. Why don't you?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the last thing I expected was like, I have too many eggs.
Yeah.
But
Really good problem right now.
we came up with several options. I mean, so duck eggs are your typical like large egg is about 50 grams in weight, and farm eggs, of course, they vary quite a bit. 85 grams is what we average out duck eggs. You're gonna have to find a recipe that uses a lot of eggs. So yeah, we actually went looking through the book for like the ones that use the most. And I mean, quiches are a good idea just because you can freeze them. I mean, you could make several quiches, but you know, you're probably going to have to up the ratio of egg to dairy.
Yeah, and quiche is pretty flexible, so you can do that. Like, you can do a more custardy quiche with fewer eggs or a more eggy one with more eggs. So it's adaptable. And then, yeah, you can freeze them before they're baked or even after they're baked, and they're still going to be really delicious.
And then, you know, we added a recipe for kuku sabzi, which is, you know, a Persian frittata, I guess it would be.
Yeah, it's so good. It's just like jam-packed full of herbs. It's got cilantro, parsley, and dill, I think are the 3 that are in our recipe. Like optional toasted walnuts in there. It's like bright green. It feels very springy to me, so it feels very appropriate for the season. But that's a delicious, I mean, I would eat that for dinner, you know?
Oh yeah, artichoke frittata for a crowd. That will use like probably 7 duck eggs. So you know that's putting a big dent in there. And then on baked goods, there's this really interesting. I think we talked about it previously. It's called sour cream apple soufflé cake cockaigne.
It's a mouthful.
Yeah, but it's definitely like one of the oldest recipes in the book. In that actually it came from like Irma's grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's really funky the way it's made. You saute apples and then you whip together egg yolks and I forget what all. There's sugar, egg yolks. It's kind of like a custard almost, but I don't think there's any dairy in it. And then you add that to the apples in the skillet and kind of gently cook it until it thickens a little. And then you fold in whipped egg whites and put it in a baking dish and top it with almonds and breadcrumbs, like a little bit of breadcrumbs, and then bake it.
What is it called again?
Sour cream apple souffle cake cockaigne.
Okay.
Yeah.
Irma did not know what to call them.
Yeah, it straddles a few different categories of dessert. So it makes sense that the name is a little odd. But that does use a lot of eggs, so that's a great option. And then there's an 8 yolk gold cake recipe, like a yellow cake, but it uses 8 egg yolks. And then our pound cake recipe uses 8 whole eggs.
So that was 5 duck egg yolks. We have to think in duck.
Right. And thinking duck. But those are all great options. I was also thinking about pickled eggs because I love a beet pickled egg. And I would think that the duck eggs, like the bright orange yolk, would look really cool with the purple, pink, pickled eggs. So I would do some of those too.
Yeah. Or, deviled eggs. But of course, it's like instead of it being like a canapé, it would be, I don't know. I guess you'd have to quarter them.
Yeah, they'd be large.
Be like 4 bites instead of 2.
Yeah.
And let's see what else. Oh yeah, creme anglaise, always a good thing to use up eggs. If you're, I mean, it's like we're getting to strawberry season. Seems like creme anglaise, some strawberries, would be a good move.
Yeah, and I will just put. I know we've just been talking about what you want to cook what to cook when you don't want to cook, and this is like the opposite of that. But I advocate. I think everyone at some point in their life should make a souffle because they're so delightful to eat and so delicious, and they're actually not that hard. And there's all this pressure because it's like, oh, it's gonna collapse. What if it collapses? It's like, yeah, it's gonna collapse no matter what. Even when the perfectly made souffle is going to collapse. Like that's part of the drama of the souffle.
Well, there's some life wisdom there, isn't there?
Yes, there is some life wisdom there.
Maybe a chocolate souffle.
Chocolate are more forgiving.
And then maybe pair that with some creme anglaise on the top.
Yeah, that's something we make at Christmas every year.
So good.
Chocolate souffle, creme anglaise, ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's so good. And we make the creme anglaise with sous vide, so with a immersion circulator, because then you don't have to stand over it. You can just chuck it in a jar, put it in the water, and let it go.
Just shake it every now and then.
Yeah. Margaret, do you have any duck egg thoughts? What would you use a bunch of duck eggs for?
Okay, wow. First of all, congrats to this person for being rich in egg. That is an incredible thing. Here's what I would do. When I have too many eggs, I like to make fruit curd. Specifically, I love a lemon curd, or as discussed earlier, I became obsessed with key lime pie. So I just started making key lime curd and putting it on everything because, like, there are no rules. You can do it. And then because you have extreme duck egg yolks, you will then have extreme duck egg white. And then you can make those into meringue. And then you have these perfect little like meringue cups with like lemon or lime curd in them. And if you want a little whipped cream on top, and that is like a beautiful, perfect like Easter era dessert to me. I would make so much curd is what I would do.
Yeah, curd is a really good one. And the recipe in Joy of Cooking actually uses whole eggs instead of separating the yolks, which is kind of nice.
That's actually so much nicer. Please do that recipe instead of the one in my mind.
No, but I like the idea of doing like a gigantic pavlova style type thing with some curd. That could be amazing.
Yeah, my friend Rachel is famous. Famous to me for the pie she makes, which is just lemon curd in a meringue crust, and it's like, oh, it's such a gorgeous. It's so perfect too because it's got that sweet, airy crust, and then that sort of like deep, like tangy, rich curd. Ooh, so I want to make it right now, actually, but I'm not rich in eggs, so someone else has to.
Well, yeah. So if you do have any left over after going through some of those ideas, there's the salted duck egg yolks. So you could put them up for a while. Of course, they have to be refrigerated. It's not shelf stable, but
You're making them small. You're making the problem smaller and last longer.
True.
That sounded bad, though. Like you're making it last longer. If you have a topic, ingredient, or joy story to share, call our hotline at 503-395-8858. Leave us a message or send us a text. We'd love to hear from you. And next week's topic comes from our caller.
My mom made many recipes from Joy of Cooking. I have no idea what edition, but I want to get the one she used growing up. I know there was a coconut milk cake and split pea soup recipe. Any ideas on which edition, or would the 2019 do the trick?
Great question. We'll answer that one next week. All right, what is everyone cooking this week? What are we planning on?
We're finally getting a Costco membership.
Oh, heck yes.
It's happening.
Welcome to the club.
Thank you. We're going, we're having a, speaking of like ways to make things like little holidays, we're doing a Costco membership Monday date. So if you have any recommendations on food we should get,
It's a great day to go.
that's what we were thinking. I didn't want to go over the weekend. So I'm just excited to finally have room in a house where I can put a bunch of paper towels and things that I've never had the option of getting before. And then I have missed going to the farmer's market the past like 2 months because of travel and then sick and all of this stuff. So I'm going today after the recording. And I'm just going to let the farmer's market inspire me. That's really, it's farmer's market / Costco inspiration week, I guess.
Nice.
I think it's a good pairing.
Sounds
No, that's-
triumphant.
You're hitting two ends of the spectrum.
Exactly.
That's great.
Exactly.
We've been sort of stocking up on a lot of our favorite ingredients from some of our favorite producers or just folks who import really awesome things from other parts of the world just to support them, you know, amid the kind of tariff chaos. And a couple of which have been sponsors of the show previously. So I just wanted to give a shout out to Yunhai, where we get all of our toasted sesame oil. It's so good. And they also have delicious vinegars and dried fruits and all kinds of Taiwanese magic. And they have a steamer appliance thing that I desperately want. I haven't bought it yet. I've been holding out, but I still really want it. And then 50 Hertz, who does the really delicious Szechuan pepper oil, the green and red, and then the peppers that you can get from them. And their peanuts are also amazing.
Oh my gosh, everything they do is so
everything
good.
they do is so good. But also Mala Market, which is where we get a lot of Szechuan ingredients. So the chili bean paste that we use in our mapo tofu that we make almost every week, it's so great. And they sell a really delicious one. And then Burlap and Barrel, they have great spices. And we just bought a ridiculous amount of spices from them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more cardamom than we've ever had, I think.
And then Diaspora Co., which famously imports amazing turmeric, but also other spices and things. But yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to those folks. It's a weird time and they're doing awesome work and I want them to thrive. So please buy your ingredients from them. But other than that, I am just watching my garden slowly grow and checking on it every 5 minutes. Like, is there lettuce yet? Are you ready? So I'm really excited to start eating out of the garden.
I want to do something with the kale that's overwintered, so I feel like I'm going to put that on the to-do list.
It's sprouting, so you got to get on it.
Okay.
What about you, Margaret? What are you doing this week?
Oh, like you, I also extremely invested in the Burlap and Barrel tariff sale because Burlap and Barrel is so good. Their spices are just like life-changingly good. So I have a bunch of interesting, fun things to play with. I got their Sri Lankan roasted curry mix, which I'm really excited to play around with, and also the savory herb from France, which I like have never really worked with, and I'm just gonna try some things and see what works and what doesn't. I also believe strongly in Costco, and in my house, it is a crisis if we run out of Kerrygold. And Costco sells it in bulk. And so legit, when the tariffs came down, my husband's like, all right, how much room do we have in the freezer? Can we just go? Can we just like buy? So we like bought a quantity that's like verging on like upsetting of Kerrygold, and also Nielsen Massey vanilla that they also
Yes.
sell at Costco.
Oh, nice.
Hot tip. Beautiful.
Okay.
So probably I should do something with those things, but actually the thing I really want to make is fried rice, especially since you were just like talking about like Szechuan popcorns, and I was like, ooh, what fun things can I do? So fried rice, and I have some eggplants. I think I'm going to bank some bengan barta.
Eggplant.
It's like it comes up on almost every
We
episode.
talk about
Does
eggplant
it really?
every episode.
Yeah, we love it, and it
Somehow.
drives John a little bit crazy. So we
That's a
love it
bingo
even more.
card.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't drive. It's continuity. You know, it's good.
That's true.
Oh.
It's not even like good eggplant season. I don't even know why. I just was like, let's get some eggplants in the house. And now I'm
Yeah.
like, these are slowly dying. What do I do with them?
By the way, shout out to your recommendation of banner butter.
Oh,
Oh.
man, yes.
You inspired us to order some, and oh my god,
It's
Right? It's
fantastic.
so good.
Oh, good. We tasted like 30 something butters, and we had literally 48 butter, which, as we all know, the queen of butters. But Banner was like such a heavy contender and is made in Atlanta that I swear, like after they went home, 5 different people from that tasting ordered it immediately. It is so good.
Yeah,
Really
we ordered a slightly unhinged amount because it was like you got to get it overnight shipped. So it's the shipping
Right.
is expensive. You might as well get like 10 pounds. I don't know. Like,
Exactly.
what are you
You
supposed
don't
to
want to be
do?
messing around with a single butter. Like, what are
No.
you doing? You'll use it up. Like, it freezes.
Totally.
What-
Yeah, we just throw it in the freezer. It's fine.
Ugh. I'm
yeah.
thrilled to hear this. The Banner butter is so good. Ugh. Like, really one of the superior domestic producers of butter, which is good in this time when we may all need that very soon.
Thanks for listening to the Joy of Cooking podcast. Before we go, show some love for your favorite podcast by subscribing to the show and leaving us a review on Apple Podcasts and iTunes. Follow us at thejoyofcooking.substack.com and on Instagram at thejoyofcooking. Stay tuned for next week where we will tackle tracking down a coconut milk cake and a lentil soup recipe.
No, split pea.
Split pea.
The addition.
Split
Right
pea, what
addition,
addition
yeah.
it is. And don't forget to make this week's recipe salted egg yolks. Call in with questions, hopes, history, or where you find joy in the kitchen. Our number is 503-395-8858. That's 503-395-8858.
We could not do this without our fantastic team at the Joy of Creation production house. Thank you to Dave Drusky, our production coordinator, Haley Bowers, our audio engineer, and today it is Dirk Marshall, our producer.